Scene and narrative are the most important components in role-playing games. Other than the elements of fighting, shooting, a great RPG couldn't succeed without an excellent narrative. Because narrative can excite and attract players to explore the background and the deeper relationship between the characters in the games. Also, narrative is able to allow players to pretend to be the character when they are playing. Because of the aspect of narrative, most of the game designers have been trying to create and organize a passionate story, which contains sex or love in order to build a more realistic environment, and let RPG lovers get involved more. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of the greatest role-playing games last year. The game begins in over 2400 years ago, at the onset of Peloponnesian War. Spartan and Athens were fighting for sovereign of the ancient Greece. In the first time of the game, player can get a choice of playing whether male or female mercenary exclusively. Unlike some role-playing games whose narratives are about revenge or saving the earth, the character has a lot of freedom, just like in the real world. Players not only can determine whether Spartan or Athens they want to help, but also can fight like a warrior, sail on the sea, gallop on the huge land of the ancient Greece. Player even could kill the innocent people. Moreover, player always has multiple options of the answer, and different answers will lead different consequences. Even though those freedoms are enough to immerse players in this open sandbox game. Interestingly, the sexual and romance options, which are not the elements of most of the RPGs, do well in letting players get involved. In this scene, the male character named Alexios is talking to Odessa, who just asked Alexio to help her sneak into the officer's house, to find out why the officer sent killers to murder her. When Odessa asked what news does Alexios bring, Alexios can flirt her or tell the news straightly. Player must be suddenly awakened when they see these romance and sensitive options, because they know they have to be responsible for their characters. In other words, player would start to think, if I were Alexios, would that be a good chance to get romantic relation with Odessa, or it is not a good situation to flirt her? So player begins to think from Alexios' perspective. If we move on next few scenes, Alexios can choose to trust her or not to trust her. These options are totally up to players' decisions, because some of the evidence Alexios found in officer's house point Odessa might be guilty. Player can absolutely support Odessa and earn her favor, but also can doubt Odessa, stand by officer's side. For the last scene, there are three options we can pick: a supportive option, a frustrating option, and a seductive option. The options here are fair and realistic. Some of the people in the world like encouraging people, some of the people don't, and some of the people like romantic. Although it seems like the player make decisions for the characters, but it is more like the player make decisions for themselves if they encounter those questions in life. Which means these romance options really provoke players' thinking and let them involved. So I think even though the narrative and scenes about sex are sensitive to some people, if those romance options are not in the game might only have boring fighting tasks and player doesn't have to watch every scene and doesn't explore the games positively. Then finally, player will lose the interest of the game. On the contrary, putting romance options in the games properly can refresh player, let player engage and let the games more realistic.